Good to have you in the studio. Very first guest in the new, improved weight room, if you will. I'm trying to think of a cool name for it.
I love it so much.
If you have any good names or anybody out there has any good names, let me know.
I'll think on that.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming in.
Heck yeah, I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, sharing some time with me here today. I think it's really cool to get to, like I said before we started recording, just get people's story and learn from different life events and life journeys.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we see people on social media every day that we have no idea about their walk of life and, you know, kind of the journey they've been on. So it's really cool. Really great experience. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about you, introduce yourself, some important points you think you want to share.
Yeah, sure. So you're going to learn a little bit about me, but my name's Hayley, and I was born and raised in Carrollton, Kentucky, a little small town. It's just about 50 miles north of here. But I am on city council there. I'm an elected official. They told me a couple years ago I was like the youngest elected official there, or in the state. And I was like, okay, I'm going to run with that. So I have ever since. So I do that. And I'm also a talent development specialist in Carrollton as well. So that's a big part of my job, my full-time job in Northern Kentucky. And basically just help people kind of follow the right career path and get them on the right, you know, journey for that. And then I love my friends and family. All of them, or most of them, are in Carrollton, and we spend a lot of time together. So it's really nice. We're very close-knit.
Something I might have seen on your Instagram or somewhere, I think it said you went to Northern Kentucky.
I did.
That's where I went.
Did you really?
Yep.
Well, and you said you went to school for
exercise
science.
Yes.
That's amazing. What year did you graduate?
18.
2018?
Yep.
Okay. Mine was 2012.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I loved it, though.
Yeah. So, you know, you mentioned that you were the youngest city council person.
Yes.
That's definitely something to be proud of, something, you know, an achievement. Has that kind of world always been interesting to you, or was it just kind of a path you never really saw yourself taking?
It has. When I was younger, like I guess in high school, I, of course, was in student council and ran for student body president. And I was an overachiever back then. And I still kind of attribute that quality to stuff that I do now. And I just realized that when you have those roles that you're so invested in and where you can make a difference, like student council, I was like, I can do this outside of high school. I can continue this. So I thought, okay, what's the next step that I could take in this political journey? And the mayor called me one day and was like, do you want to be on planning and zoning? And for those people that don't know what that is, it's basically just like a committee that decides where stop signs go and sidewalks and things like that.
You do stuff with like speed bumps?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I know a guy that does that too.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And so I got involved in that. And then the next step was city council. And I was like 18 or 19 when I wanted to run. But at the time, you couldn't. You had to be 21. So they've changed the law since then. And now you can be 18.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you can vote for somebody to be in there, you can maybe be in there too.
Exactly. That's what I thought. So I turned 21, and that's when they said I was the youngest one ever in Kentucky. And then I've been doing it ever since. I ran for mayor in 2018 and lost, which was fine. It ended up just fine. You know, sometimes defeat kind of helps you
learn from it.
Yes, be more successful in the long run. But yeah, I've been in local politics for about a decade now, so it's crazy.
Wow, that's very exciting. You know,
yeah.
What kind of experience was just running? You know, especially for something like mayor, where there's a lot of, you know,
yes, well,
things that happen.
I don't know if you guys have been involved in like small town politics. It's like a different scale. I don't know. Like Louisville is pretty huge, but small towns have like their own vibe with everything. So
Yes.
When I ran, the big thing there is you need to knock on every single door, like every single person. Our population is like 4,000 in the city, which is pretty small. And then the county is 10,000. So I knocked on every single door. I took a map and I went and I knocked and I talked to everybody, and seriously took their concerns into consideration and, you know, just kind of went from there.
Knocking on that many doors, talking to that many people, was there any like hesitancy because you're so young?
Oh yeah.
And did people like, I'm sure, you knock on the first door, before you get to the second one, they're probably saying like, hey, this person, who is this person that came to talk to me, and then kind of the 20th and 50th and 100th person, they already know you're on your way. So did it get a little bit more challenging because they like had some questions, for you already ready? Yeah.
And news travels fast, back then you could make a Facebook status and the whole town would know what the news was. So yeah, there was some reluctancy that I was new, but also, on the flip side of that, a lot of people were ready for change and ready for some new blood in there to make some decisions and shake it up a little. Yeah. So, yeah.
No, I think that's where a lot of the world's headed, is kind of that ready for something kind of different. And, regardless of kind of what your beliefs are, there's so much good things that are on the way if we allow them to be good.
Oh, absolutely.
With technology, with new people kind of stepping up in leadership roles that are, not your typical, not your typical political people that you would expect, making big moves out there.
Yes, and that is the crazy thing about Carrollton too. It's time, I think, that more people are realizing like we need somebody in here to shake things up a little bit. And the stigma behind being an elected official in a small town, I'm ready for somebody to come in and kind of shatter that, because they make these rules up in their head like, well, you can't do this and you can't. Yeah, you can. Just because I'm an elected official doesn't mean I can't go be in a bodybuilding show and go, for a run in my sports bra. Like, oh no, that's not allowed apparently, So it's a different kind of world, definitely.
Yeah, and speaking about that, how did that impact anything? Like, was there any talking, any whispers, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. And it's so funny. Have you ever heard of like Topics? The forum, the online forum, topics.com.
It sounds slightly familiar.
It's kind of like a trashy little forum, like paparazzi and first like celebrities, but small towns is what it is. So when that was a thing, people would get on there and just bash whoever was running for political office or anything like that. So it was definitely. It took some tough skin to do that kind of thing, because, people have their own opinions about what you should and shouldn't be doing if you're going to run for office. Yeah.
And how do you think that, like, before we get too deep into the bodybuilding and things, like, how do you think that kind of almost like development of just like being, okay, this is what people are going to say regardless of what I do. Did that help you at all whenever you did start, into other ventures and bodybuilding included?
Oh, yeah. And I can remember being young at this whole thing, just in city council in general, and caring a lot more about what people were going to think. And now, like in my older age, I've just kind of pushed that aside and thought, they're going to think whatever they want anyway. So do what makes you happy, and do, even if you are an elected official, do what makes you happy. So
yeah. And, that's such a weird thing almost to say. As a political person, as a politician, like, I don't care, what you think, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you have to almost say like, I do care what you think.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think so many people respond well to that. It's just like such an intuitive thing for the non-political side of everybody to be like, I don't, or at least that's what we almost we want to believe. We think that.
Subconsciously, I'm like, do I really not care? Or what? But I've kind of been able to put those notions aside. You know what I mean? Like, if people do have some sort of issue with what I do in my free time outside of city council, then that's on them. I can't really change that. So that's kind of how I feel about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you would have asked 21-year-old Hayley, no.
Yeah, it's that retrospective thing of like, when you're in high school, you have all these like ideas of what life is and what high school is and like what consequences are. And then you get out and you're like, oh, I wish I just would have done this. I wish I just would have done that and not cared. And, I think that's such a good lesson to learn, though. Whenever you do have that realization, just carry it with you through your present day instead of looking back at it and
Yeah.
wishing you'd have done something different.
For sure. Definitely.
So I want to talk a little bit too about your Miss Kentucky experience. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I forgot that was some of the stuff on there. So pageants have always been a huge part of my life. And I think my mom put me in like Little Miss Carroll County when I was 5. So they've always kind of been this stepping stone to other pageants. And as I've gotten older, I was able to utilize some of the things that I learned through pageantry in real life scenarios, and that like interviewing, public speaking, what to wear to a job interview, things like that a lot of people that might not have necessarily been into that, that I did learn from just being in a pageant. So
right. It seems like it's almost in some ways like almost a combination of like the political side and the bodybuilding side. It's such an interesting combo there. And then the fact that you got into bodybuilding, I guess, later on afterwards.
Yes. So that's funny because I was looking through the questions that you sent me and I'm like, gosh, all of this stuff really like coincides together. And I never really have thought about it that deep, but it really does. So this is just a really cool, talk that we're having because it made me kind of open my eyes to just some of the things I've done. But Miss Kentucky was probably one of the coolest experiences of my whole entire life. I got to go to Vegas and compete for the Miss for America title, and that was so cool. I won the best state costume award, and I was dressed up as Colonel Sanders. I'm sure they thought that was hilarious. It's the only reason I won, but
that's awesome.
It was very cool. I met 2 really amazing friends that I still talk to almost every day there. So, it's not only like a learning experience, but it's friendships with real people that are amazing.
Yeah.
Too.
And it seems like there's so much stigma around, the 3 big topics we're talking about, with politics, with the pageantry stuff, and with bodybuilding. It's like you have these ideal, stereotypical things that you would think about would be each one of those people.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, if I was an outsider looking in, I've heard it all before, people that don't necessarily follow or know pageants think that, we're dumb, we're not intelligent, we can't form an opinion about things, we don't know a whole lot. But I will tell you that is so far from the truth. For example, I just crowned last year. The new Miss Kentucky that I crowned is a doctor.
Wow.
I mean, she's an actual doctor. Like, that's amazing. These women are beautiful, but they're so smart. And, some of them have master's degrees and are veterinarians and just dreams outside of this world. It's amazing. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I always say it'd be really cool to see what just the whole species would be and be capable of if everybody just did what they know they had to do, stay disciplined. And,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's so much I think that a single person is capable of. And then if everybody was kind of on the same program of like just doing what you had to do and being disciplined, following the program, however you want to say it, what we would be able to achieve as a human race.
I totally agree. How successful we would be, all of us, if we just kind of stuck to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So talking, switching gears to the bodybuilding side now, that's kind of, what most of our audience is probably tuning in for anyway. But like, how did you get into bodybuilding? And one thing that I found really interesting, I was kind of digging through social media and I found this quote, this phrase that I liked. It said, "Make yourself proud."
Oh, yes. I love that. Oh my gosh. So I'll start with kind of how I got into bodybuilding, and it's the funniest, weirdest, like not even that groundbreaking of a story, but it turned into groundbreaking for me. I had just started going to this gym where my now trainer owned. He owned it at the time. He has since sold it, but he was there and he was training a woman that is really close friend of mine now. Stephanie is her name, and she'll probably she'll totally probably watch this and be like, oh my gosh. But I saw her gym bag in the gym one day, and I'm just in there willy-nilly, didn't have a program, didn't have a plan, just doing whatever, probably overdoing cardio, who knows. And she had her gym bag in there with like these stripper shoes. That's what I call them, stripper hooker looking heels. But they were just like the clear bodybuilding shoes, and I was like, what is she doing? And come to find out, she was training for a bodybuilding show. And I was like, I want to be one of those girls that have a gym bag that are in the gym with those stripper shoes. I want to be one of those girls. That's what I'm striving for.
It's funny what, pushes us and motivates us at the beginning sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. And now that I'm in, like, this is my second year completely into it, engulfed into it. It's just funny thinking back that was how I got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny hearing how people do get into it, because it's sometimes the most like random things that get people onto this path that changes their life.
Yeah, it's changed the complete trajectory of my life because of those clear shoes and her gym bag. Like, that is so funny to think about now, but yeah, that's it. And then the phrase was from my trainer. He's still my trainer now. I can remember as clear as the day was. I can say, I said to him, I just want to make you proud. And I have always felt that way with everything I've done my entire life. And I can think back to when I was younger. I just wanted to make my mom and dad proud. I just wanted to make my teachers proud. Anybody. I didn't really care about what I thought in the process, what myself thought. I just wanted to make somebody so proud of me, and that feeling that you get when you know that somebody's like, yeah, good job. Like, great. You're awesome. But I never really I never took that in consideration for myself. And he texted me back and he said, make yourself proud. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, nobody's ever really put it that way in perspective for me before like that, and it just kind of hit me. And I was like, yeah, I need to make my own damn self proud. Like, it's time to kind of turn the page on that. And
yeah, it's interesting because what is it about? Is it a human thing? Is it a thing? Is it a societal thing that we oftentimes forget to what's making me happy? What am I doing for myself? In a non-selfish way, of course, but and I think there's such a stigma around bodybuilding where it is like you're a selfish, you're vain, you're whatever kind of person.
Yes.
But and in some ways, you have to be that kind of person too, at certain times in the process to make it all work. But I don't think necessarily, kind of going back to what you said, make yourself proud, that all those things are necessarily bad things to be focused on your goals.
Yes, 100%. And just like you said, the people, the stigma that people put around bodybuilding, being vain, and I feel like it's really not. It's the complete opposite for most of us. Most of us usually aren't even happy with where we're at when we look in the mirror. Most of us are like, it's time to dig deeper. And so.
And I think too, we're so involved in other areas of life that we don't think about our own life a lot of times. We're so distracted by all the distractions, the social medias, the Netflixes, the all the things that are vying for our attention. And unfortunately, health isn't one of the things that is seen as important. That is, it's weird that it's become almost this, health has become this thing that is not focused on. It's on the back burner. It's if you're healthy, that's a good thing. If not, we have these other things for you. It's such a weird kind of place that we're in this world.
I agree 100%. A girl that I'm friends with posted her grocery cart, and it was I don't know, 6 or 7 healthy items. And she's like, this was almost $100. I'm like, that's kind of the world we're living in now. It's sad that the healthy stuff is so much more expensive than, going out to eat at Taco Bell on the 99-cent menu or whatever you do. I don't know, but
So going back to your bodybuilding though, and when you first started, I'm sure you saw the shoes, you had this great vision, you were like, this is what I'm going to do. And how long did it take for you to start, to wake up one day and be like, is this really what I want to do?
Yeah, and it's more than just the shoes. Like, what in the hell am I getting myself into? Oh my God, my last prep was 6 months, and I had when I first got involved, I had a lot of body fat I needed to kind of get rid of anyway, which I was aware of, but my trainer was like, this is kind of what we need to do, and the meal plan in itself is so intimidating. When he first sent it to me, I'm like, I need to eat what? 6 times a day? Like, are you kidding me? That is insane. I'm not used to that at all. So the volume of food that I was eating was crazy. And that's another thing. Like, my family, friends and family, like, that's hard for them to grasp. Like, they think bodybuilding equals not eating or starving yourself or whatever. And it's not. I'm like, I have to tell my grandma, no, Mama, I'm eating. It's just food that doesn't taste all that great. It's like bland chicken and broccoli 6 times a day. She's like, okay, just making sure you're eating. Like, oh, I promise, Mama, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one thing, getting into it, like, intimidating a little bit. Yeah. And getting your friends and family on board or not on board.
Yeah.
I will never forget this guy that was in bodybuilding. I went to school with him. He messaged me and saw that I was doing it, and he said, I just want to let you know, like, it's going to get lonely, and you're going to probably lose a couple friends over it, or people that you might think are your friends, because you're going to be so dedicated and they're not going to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it happens.
They want to go do something, you can't maybe do it, or you have to do a modified version of it. And yeah, it's not just about you in a way. It does involve the community that you associate with. It impacts kind of everybody in different ways.
100%. Yeah. And, going to restaurants and taking your Tupperware, or, things that you have to just kind of modify and then explain. And I'm like, I have to explain this for the 16th time today, like, why I'm doing this. And then at the end of the day, like you said, is it worth it? And that's a conversation you have to have with yourself, like a true sit down conversation. You have to kind of have that come to Jesus moment. Like, is this worth it? And then usually for most bodybuilders, it is,
Yeah. And so how long did you train before you decided that you actually wanted to, make a date, find a date to step on stage?
Well, 6 months about, and that's kind of quick for most bodybuilders. They usually, just from the ones I've followed, that was kind of a quick decision on my part for my first show ever. But we thought, I was at a good place to try it out, and I did the Kentucky Derby one last year, and I got 4th place. So that was pretty cool. I told myself, as long as I go home with a sword, I will be happy. And I did. So I was happy. And then looking back on it, of course, we kind of reconvened and talked about what I could do different this time around and things like that. So it was definitely a learning experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said before, in some ways it's similar to the pageantry stuff, but you're a little bit physically and mentally, I want to say gone, but you're just kind of like, it's a different physical and mental experience. So like, tell us 100%. A little bit about like what that was, both of those, and then also emotionally.
Oh yeah. And gosh, when you were saying that, I can think of one time, like it was a couple days before the show, and I was like in the gym by myself. I was training by myself that day, and I was sitting on one of the machines. It was like the inner thigh machine or whatever, and I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for the next set, and I'm like, just started bawling, like busting out crying. Like, why am I crying right now in the gym? Like, what are you doing with yourself right now? And that's kind of like the emotional part that people don't see. The emotional breakdowns, like, why are you crying in the middle of the gym by yourself? And truly, why are you doing this? And I think it's just like the competitive nature that comes out in all of us that is like, you can do this. Like, mind over matter. You are a bad bitch. Like, let's do this,
Yeah.
So that was kind of an emotional part. But with pageants, I can't ever really say I got to that point because it's just different. It's a different preparation. I feel like you have more of a support system with that. And it might be because there's directors and there's other girls that you know throughout the years that you've been with. It's just a different type of preparation for the whole thing. And on that side of it, the posing and the appearance and the pageantry of it, of both of them, are, people would think that they're very similar. And they're very not. They're very not similar at all. With pageants, the evening gown is slow and it's not super robotic. It's kind of graceful and has music that's real slow to it. And then bodybuilding is like very robotic and very, it's stiff. You have to flex and pose. It's just completely different. So in that arena, I always tell, they're like, oh, you've done pageants. This has got to be a cakewalk. Like, nope. It's completely different.
Yeah. What do you think was some of the things that did transfer over though for bodybuilding?
A lot of like the smaller preparation of it. Like, I was used to like the dieting, I guess you could say, but now it's more like a lifestyle. Instead of like crash dieting for a pageant 2 weeks before, this has been like a year-long, transformation. So that's kind of been, I was used to that, but it's kind of been a learning curve too as well. Yeah. But it all kind of translates in some way or another. And I think that was good moving into the bodybuilding side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool to, how experiences do kind of transfer over in that. And then, you never know. When you got into pageants, it wasn't like, oh, I'm preparing for bodybuilding. It was just,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, these skills are now somehow, related to this new skill. But
yeah,
when you did finally do the show, how did you feel afterwards? Because I feel like whenever you set a goal, and especially a long-term goal, it's sometimes like a relief almost to get it over with, but then like the response afterwards is like, what do I do next? Did you have any of that?
Yeah. And Stephanie, the girl I referenced earlier, and Nicole, they were two people that were also competing. We talked about what is it called? The after show blues.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, I think I've heard it called that.
Yes. So we talked about, that's probably going to happen. You've been preparing for 6 months. You do it. You're on stage for a minute and then it's over. Like, holy shit, what do I do with myself now? All of this preparation and time is gone, and now I've done it, and that's the end of it. So there is a thing where after the show you kind of have to take a step back and say, okay, well, now what? So there's, the improvement season and the bulking season and all that good stuff that we all know is in the bodybuilding community is what comes next. And that's kind of where I had to talk to my trainer and get with him and see what I was thinking and feeling and go from there. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't sure I wanted to do another one. I was like, I don't know. He said, as soon as you step off the stage, you'll know. You'll know if you want to come back and do another one. And I didn't. I was like, all I know is I want an Oreo that's back here, backstage. I just want one of these Oreos.
Yeah. I kind of had a similar experience with a marathon I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did the marathon, and the Kentucky Derby Marathon or whatever it's called.
Me too. When did you do it?
2019, I think.
Stop. I think mine was 2018 or 2019. It might have been 2019.
I think it was the last year before they did all the COVID stuff. So
okay.
Maybe 2018, I don't know. It was one of those 2 years, though.
Okay, I want to ask you a question.
All right.
Have you ran one since?
No, but the day of it, even before I did it, I was like, I'll never do this again. And then getting done, I was like, I'll definitely never, ever do this again. And I was just ready to be done with all of it, with running. And
it was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah. The next year, though, I didn't go back, but I was thinking about, maybe, and then the year after that, which I think would be this year or whatever, maybe last year, but I was a little bit more into it. And this year, I'm like, maybe it is time to like challenge myself in that way, because
do
it's
something else.
To me, I really enjoy, that kind of challenge.
Pushing yourself.
Yeah, some type of adventure, and maybe it's not a marathon again, but maybe maybe it is. Maybe it's so fun though, to do that kind of thing.
To make your body do something that you don't think that it was maybe meant to do,
yeah,
but you
or
pushed
even,
it there.
Yeah, or even that, like, you don't even know if you can do it in a lot of ways. Because I remember I was training and I only had like January. I think I started maybe in February or January, February, and in April, the end of April. So I only had a few months to train. And I was like calculating how fast I had to go, like the minimum speed I had to go. And then like the maximum amount of time I had, I was like, is this physically possible for me to do this? And I didn't know. And even during the race, like I would hit like different mile markers and I would be like, am I going to make it like in this 6 hour time window? And it seems like such a long time to have to finish just anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, I finished within, at like a little over 8 minutes until the 6 hours was up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So,
they start taking the gates down
yeah.
and like going and getting people on golf carts and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're done now. We're done here.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
And of course, bodybuilding is completely different than running a marathon, but I feel like it's almost the same from a mental challenge. Am I going to be able to do this? And the marathon maybe is more on the race day, whereas bodybuilding is more on, the training leading up to the day. But yeah, so many mental doubts along the path.
Oh, yeah. Mile 23, you're like, somebody just please kill me. Like, just come and shoot me. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, and I've actually met a few people. I wish I remember who they were and was like still in contact with them because they saved me on the.
Aww.
Yeah, there were two people from St. Louis. I think it was like a mother-daughter or something. Aww. Maybe like two mothers, but whatever it was, like they completely saved me.
That's awesome.
From basically giving up.
See, you make friends there too. It's
absolutely.
Like a great little community. But yeah, I've never done one since either. And I probably won't ever. That was a lot.
I mean, do you ever consider doing like the mini, or do you ever consider doing like shorter races? I know you still like run, right?
Yeah, I do. And it's funny because my trainer gets really pissed. He's like, you're going to run off all your muscle mass. I'm like, a 5K is not going to run off my dang muscle mass. Come on. He's going to see this and be so mad. But yeah, I sprinkle a 5K in here or there. I have toned it way down. I used to do like 6 miles every single day. Yeah. And I toned it way down. So I do love running. I love like the mental aspect of it. It's just like a chill few minutes by myself and your surroundings. It's nice. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. I think on a more like push run where you're doing like multiple 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever, really pushing it a little bit. It's that combination of like really peaceful and then like the mental warfare within your own head. A lot of times it's such a weird kind of thing. You get to experience kind of the gamut of emotions on a run.
Yeah, 100%. I just did a 5K Saturday and the whole time I'm like, this is fucking stupid. This sucks. I hate my life. Why did I sign up for this? And then when it's over, I'm like, oh, that was
the
great.
Euphoria hits.
So it's funny, but I love it. And it's even funnier. Stephanie, the girl talked about, she's like, you're the only bodybuilder I know that likes cardio. I don't think any other human likes it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just weird, I guess.
I think it definitely is almost two different mindsets so
it
much.
It is.
And it's weird because I enjoy, not necessarily to the extent of bodybuilding, but I really do enjoy the lifting weights aspect as well as kind of the cardio. I wouldn't say so much cardio just for the sake of it, but kind of like a run or a race or something to where it's kind of like a fun thing to do. And it is. It sometimes does, like, you have these different things you like and they sometimes clash and it's hard to like choose what you want to focus on at the time. It's like, am I gonna try to gain or am I lifting, am I building muscle mass, am I running, am I it's that's the fun. That's so much fun though, that people don't realize is your body can be capable of so much and you can do and challenge it in so many different ways and experience so many new fun kind of goals.
And gosh, every day, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, like, I wish I could do what you do, And I'll respond and say, well, you can.
Yeah.
You can. And literally anybody, you truly can. You know, if you really want to do it, you just make yourself do it.
Yeah.
And you could if you wanted to, you know. But I love that. I love that you can kind of morph it into what you need it to be.
Pushing yourself, pushing your limits, finding out,
Yeah.
you know, hey, this is where I am. So many people don't go through life without knowing what they're truly capable of. And it's a scary place to go for sure. You know, you might end up puking. You might end up, you know, cramping on the floor. You might end up, you know, super sore the next day.
Yeah.
You might end up crying, whatever it is. Like, it's a tough place to go emotionally, physically, mentally. You know, pushing your limits, but
it is.
It's definitely rewarding whenever you found out what you are capable of.
Yeah. My favorite thing is being really mean to myself in my head. I'm like, you stupid effing, like just cussing at myself. But it helps. It gets me to where I need to be, you know. So
mental battle.
Yeah.
The David Goggins approach, I guess.
Yes. I'm so glad people can't be in my brain when I'm like lifting or something. Like sometimes I'll say it out loud and my mom's like, my God,
didn't know that was in there.
On over there?
Yeah. It's definitely a different place you sometimes have to go to.
Yeah.
To do the things that are just beyond almost what you think are possible.
For sure.
So I think probably the most interesting aspect to me about bodybuilding is the prep side of things, because it really takes you and breaks you down to, you know, that humanistic, these are the bare, you know, minimums of what I need. This is pushing my body to do maybe what it can't, you know, what I thought at least it couldn't do. There's so much emotion in it. How have you kind of responded from going from that first prep to, you know, what you kind of learned to taking it into, you know, future?
Yeah. It's a lot different because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And now that I've kind of been there, and experienced it, I have more of a grasp on it, I think, this time around. Before I was so worried about like getting lean and like maybe a little too skinny. Like maybe my category is wellness, and that's like for bigger legs, bigger, you know, lower body. And my trainer was like, you might want to maybe do bikini. And I was like, no, that's not what we've been training for this whole time. Like, and it's just a different class. And I was probably a little bit more lean than I wanted to be. And I didn't really know how to channel that into, you know, the wellness category, which was different. So I've learned a little bit in that aspect of it, and I've been able to eat more and kind of learn the nutrition side of things more, and just I've researched a lot more and just learned. Like before I was kind of like, I'll just do whatever my trainer says and hope for the best. And now I'm so engulfed in it. I kind of want to learn more on my own and see what else I need to do to be better.
Yeah.
Be stronger. Have more muscle mass and kind of that route.
Yeah. Did you ever, you know, think about maybe switching up instead of doing like a bodybuilding, more bodybuilding, doing maybe like more strength based or something, like anything?
Yes.
Where you would see it like crossing over?
Well, the girl that just took over the gym, her name's Mallory. She's really into powerlifting, and she's like, gosh, you should really, you know, try it with me. And it'll help like the wellness aspect, because obviously it's more booty focused, which is, you know, that category. And I'm like, powerlifting intimidates the shit out of me. Like I will try it. I keep telling her I'm going to try it with her and go down that route. But I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm not strong enough, or I don't know what it is holding me back. But I'm like, gosh, it intimidates the crap out of me. So I don't know. I might try it though and see.
Does that almost like want to push you to do it though, with the fact that you are kind of...
She's like, okay, so basically what you're telling me is you're going to do it. I'm like, I'm sure I will at some point.
Yeah. No, I think...
the competitive edge, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people in bodybuilding have that, you know.
Yes.
If I think almost like even past the point where, you know, some people it's like if somebody tells me I can't do it, then I'll have to do it. But even some people it's beyond that, to where if I even think for a second that I can't do it, then I have to prove to myself that I
just
can
to
do
yourself, like, yeah, you can. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, make yourself proud and show yourself what you can do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Character trait wise, what do you feel like has been the biggest kind of gain for you, since you stepped on a bodybuilding stage, started training, that whole process?
I think that I've always been a dedicated person, but this has just turned it into, a lot of bodybuilders talk about sacrifice and dedication, and I know it sounds cliche, but God, it is so freaking true. Like it just turns you into this like dedicated psycho, and like in a good way, and that translates, which to me is the best thing. Being a dedicated psycho translates into all the other great things that you can make it be a dedicated psycho toward. Like, your family life, your home life, your work life, you can translate that all into every other aspect of your life too. You're like, okay, if I can wake up at 5 a.m., do fasted cardio, work all day, and then do 2 or 3 hours in the gym and some more cardio and eat 10 meals in a day, was an exaggeration, but
Probably feels like it.
Yeah, it does. Then I can also be that dedicated in other aspects of my life. You just have to force yourself to do it.
Yeah. And, I had a question, and it might even be the same answer, but, if you could give non-bodybuilders, just everybody, one trait of a bodybuilder, would it be that, or would you have kind of a different idea?
It's probably the same. And that goes kind of back to what I was saying earlier, with people that are just like, I admire that you can do this, and I wish I could do what you do. And I'm like, you can. You really, really can. You just have to pick and choose what you want to prioritize.
Right.
Do you want to sit and watch, what's that show everybody watches, Ozark or something?
I love Ozark.
Do you?
Yes. Great show.
Never seen it.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, let me pick something else.
Oh, no, I agree, though. I hear you. Let's make Jersey Shore.
Okay, there you go. Do you want to sit and watch 6 hours of Jersey Shore on TV, or do you want to get up and run a mile and go to the gym? Do you want to sit and eat Doritos, which, God, they sound so good right now. I would love a bag of Doritos, but do you want to do that? Or, maybe choose a chicken breast and some broccoli this time around. It's just picking and choosing your battles and what you really, truly want. That's all it really boils down to, and people will message me on Facebook all the time, like, give me some tips, and I'm not a trainer. I have a trainer for a reason. He's so freaking good at what he does. He gets me to where I need to be, but I'll just tell you what I do, to get myself where I need to be. And it's forcing yourself to be a little bit of a dedicated psycho.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And how do you, because a lot of people might hear that and be like, you have to have balance in your life. You have to have balance. How do you try to find that balance?
Well, and I will say this, I will be fully transparent and say that, like, I'm not married, I don't have kids. So that's a big part of it for people. They always say, well, I have kids and, I got to get them to school and then feed them and do baths after work. And I cannot imagine. I really, truly can't. I mean, I do a good enough job of raising myself and doing all of this. So I truly could not imagine throwing kids into the mix right now, but I know bodybuilders that do it. I see bodybuilders that have 3 and 4 kids, and you had a guest on here once, Mary.
Yes, my mind went straight to her when you said that.
We're really close. She's in the wellness category too. We've met at the Kentucky Derby posing clinic a couple times, and we talk and chit chat. And she's a freaking nurse, like working 12-hour shifts, and raising kids and having a boyfriend. And I'm just like, she can do it, so can you. You know, so.
It's, man, just that's one example, but there's so many other people too that I've talked to that have these crazy stories and challenges and obstacles that they have to overcome. One, go check out the episode. I can't remember the exact number. I have to put it in the description. But this one guy has he has like epilepsy to the point to where it's like he almost has like assisted like things at his house to where he has to like if he has one, he needs to call 911, and like he had brain cancer, or he had something else, other kind of cancer, I think, and like he still is just like pushing it. He pushes himself, and
Oh my gosh.
you know, people do have, you know, they can like once again do insane, incredible things whenever they're dedicated. And you know, it's not bodybuilding for everybody, for sure,
Right.
but find what is passion, you know, what you have passion for,
Yes.
what you're passionate about, and you can amaze yourself.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with the hours you'll put in, the you know, of course, sleep is very important, but the sleep you'll lose,
Yeah.
with, you know, the meals you'll skip, with the parties you'll skip, whatever it is, you know, you will be amazed at how much effort you put into something that is incredibly insane to do to other people that you just are passionate about.
Yeah, that's amazing. What a great story.
We kind of talked about it a little while back, and I forgot to ask it, but the posing aspect of bodybuilding, you know, it is it's something that I feel like when you first get into it, you may not think about it. You're probably thinking like the training, the diet, you know, those two are going to be the biggest things. It's crazy. And then you probably think about getting on stage, but then you're like, oh wait, I have to learn these routines. I have to learn how to like, how hard was that for you to do all the posing
I'm not
aspects?
gonna lie to you, it was the hardest part. And I trained a few times a week, like, you know, people would recommend, and I got on stage and literally forgot. My brain fell out of my head. I forgot every single thing I was supposed to do. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm standing up here right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I was like a deer in headlights, which it ended up being okay. But I've seen some pictures where I'm like, wow, you really didn't do anything you practiced, did ya? So the posing is extremely difficult. Stephanie will tell me, like, probably one of the most important things, besides the training and the diet, is practicing your posing, hitting your poses, your mandatories, and making sure that the judges are going to see you in the best light. Because, you know, I mean, we do it for pictures every day. Like, how are we supposed to pose ourselves to look the best?
Yeah.
You know? So it's very difficult. And this time around, I did get a posing coach, and I'm meeting with her the first time next Tuesday. So I'm excited. It's Autumn, Cleveland, and she's like the best.
I really want to have her on here.
Oh my gosh, you need her on here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. She'd be great.
She does a lot of cool stuff, and
she's amazing. She knows her shit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, come on the podcast.
Yeah. Come on, Autumn.
Another interesting aspect these days, I think, to bodybuilding is the fact that everything is obviously on social media.
Yes.
You know, back in the day, it was like, we probably know what this guy looks like or this girl looks like, you know, based on what they look like before. But now it's like second by second, we know what this person looks like before they get on stage, before we see them. They're across the country. Now they're at the show, but we already know what they looked like. How was that? Like, did that affect you at all as far as like seeing other people and how they were looking at the same stage and prep that you were in?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I would even pull up pictures and be like, Mom, what do you think about these people? How are they looking? Are they stacking up? Am I stacking up? Like, how's this looking right now for me? And that, it can be good, but it can also be bad. You know, you've got to kind of draw that line between self-comparison and compare yourself to other people, and just go out there and do your best. You know, bring your best self, your best package to the stage. And seeing everybody all the time on social media, it can help, but it can be a detriment too, for sure.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine, like, you know, other sports, it's like how, and then to a certain degree, obviously in bodybuilding too, it's how you perform on the day, but like in, let's just say basketball, like, you might see a specific player, you know, do a crazy dunk one night or hit, you know, 23s or whatever, go off for 60 points. But like, that doesn't mean they're going to do it the next night.
Exactly.
You know, it's so kind of based on different things. With that being said though, like how did the subjectivity of bodybuilding, you know, it's, you can put all this effort in, you can put all this work in, but at the same time, like these judges have control over what the outcome is. Like, did that play in your mind at all?
Oh yeah. And you know, going into it initially, I didn't know a whole lot about like what the judges scored on. I mean, I knew it was like symmetry and, you know, different things like that. But once you're up there, like, what are they looking at? You can't control what they're thinking in their head.
Yeah.
So it was like, this one's not smiling at me. Like, what am I doing wrong? You know, but it's all just a big mind game. You've got to kind of get around. And it's funny, the posing clinic people that came and helped us pose last year and this year were also the judges at the Derby. So you've seen their faces, you know that they're capable of picking the best person. And so, but that's also nice because you see familiar faces too at the judges table, which is good. So
especially, I'm sure, you know, going through the motions kind of for that first time, being kind of familiar would be a lot more comforting.
Oh yeah. And Autumn was backstage doing the what do you call it, where they help facilitate the onstage presence and stuff. She was back there doing that too. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, yeah, that's I didn't realize that they were there for that. I kind of kept up with the stuff this year because this was actually the first show that I went to.
I saw that you guys went to it. Did you love it?
It was so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
We're kind of on a tangent. We're going to a show down in Houston, Texas, coming up here in about a month.
That's fun. Who do you know down there? That's
competing? It's just well, actually, one of the guys that has come on the podcast, he has a client that's competing. So we're kind of going with them, and we're going to do some podcast stuff there, which is really exciting. But it's going to be a really big show, and I'm just kind of just feeding off the energy of that. You know,
I love that.
Tying it back to the Derby show, it was all just such a cool experience, and it's something that I couldn't really explain. And maybe you felt it, maybe other people felt this, but when I was there, I just felt this energy and this like drive to kind of like we talked about, just be the best version of you or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And then, I left and I went somewhere else. I went to a store or whatever. I can't remember now, but I never felt that before, that energy. People always talked about the energy.
Yeah.
And I never felt what that actually meant until I left there and I went somewhere else, and it was just like a deader energy.
Yes.
It was a weird kind of thing that I've never experienced.
It's such a huge show. It's like an all-day event. It's like just something you really don't experience a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's cool to have that many people, dedicated to bettering themselves in one spot.
All in the same room.
Yeah.
We've all been through the blood, sweat, and tears for the last, 16 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. So much training and so many meals and
so many spray tans. So much. We all need a shower. Like, we're all probably stinking back there. It's fine.
That's something that I do hope I get to experience, is kind of that backstage, presence and what that feels like. I've seen it on documentaries before and things, but really to kind of like, once again, just feel the energy and
there's nothing like being back there.
It's
something different. And I tried to sneak a couple videos just for myself so I could like remember the moment,
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know, something just so very surreal, very cool.
Yeah. No, it's and I think the cool part about it too is like, there is so much dedication to this sport for a lot of people, for the love of it, the passion of it. It's not a money thing for 99.9% of people.
Yeah.
But you put in so much time and money yourself, and
right.
It's something that everybody can do. It's open to anybody to try it.
If it's a bucket list person that lost 150 pounds and they're just like, I want to get up on that stage, or it's somebody that's a veteran that's been doing it for 20 years, that's in a master's category, then it's for them too. It's like, it runs the gamut of just all kinds of athletes.
Right.
So
I think it's one of those rare things that we can all kind of be a part of. And even like I said before, I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't compete. I enjoy the sport. I've always kind of been a fan of, the older athletes, the whatever we call them, the glory days, that era.
I love it.
It's just, it's always been something I found interesting, but getting to know people who do it has been really special, and just kind of feeding off of their dedication and putting it into my own training and my own goals, and taking, what they, for example, one message that I found to be kind of just like completely eye-opening for my whole entire life has been, it was a very early on episode, and I said, what goals do you have for this, upcoming year. I think it was like a new year episode. And they're like, well, I'd really just hope to be consistent. I was like, well, that's genius, because it doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to run for city council, like, you have to be consistent in putting in the work. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you have to put in the work and be consistent. Like, it's just such a basic core element to anything you want to achieve.
A lot of bodybuilding it can be attributed to the basics. And I mean, it really is just as simple as being consistent, getting up and going to the gym every day, and just having a program and sticking to it. Like, it truly is. Yeah.
And I actually talked to this guy a few episodes ago, and he was like, if you're getting into bodybuilding and you think it's going to be all fun and games, it's not. He was like, it's mundane, it's day in and day out, and it takes a long time.
Yep. He's very true. Very right on that.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about doing it?
I've thought about it. I can't decide, because I know how much dedication it does take, and just running this podcast and putting out episodes and things that we have to do for the podcast. And I know, like, hey, this person's a nurse, this person has kids, so I'm not, I'm not making the excuse of that. But I don't, I just want to really not make any, I don't want to have to, like, sacrifice anything that I'm doing. But I do, it has crossed my mind. So, I mean, you might see me up there one day, and if it does happen, it's going to be really, really cool. And I'll have to definitely document everything that happens.
For sure.
But yeah, it's been really cool getting to talk to you and getting to meet you tonight. I appreciate you sharing some time with me here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
On the weight room and in the brick room and whatever. I can't decide. I'm still trying to think of a cool name for this studio.
Cool. Yeah, so. I love it so much.
So yeah, it's thanks for coming on.
Me.
Absolutely. Yeah.